What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk about SoFi. There's a lot of big things for SoFi this week. I'm going to talk about all of that and what that means for us as investors and potentially where SoFi could go by the end of the week. But before I get into any of that, making sure you guys hit that thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. Also pop over to my Discord, link in the description below. It's a free chat, a lot of good people. And with that said, let's get right to it. So SoFi has been on a massive rally, showing a lot of good strength. And at the end of the day, Anthony Noto has been doing an amazing job as CEO, continuously buying shares. He is the true definition of what a good CEO does. Let me know in the description below if you do disagree with that, because again, there is a lot of people out there that are on the fence about him still, regardless of how much money he's actually backed up into SoFi. But still, regardless of all of that, there's a lot of things as far as economic data coming out this week that could potentially cause SoFi to break out massively. And I've always been saying for the longest time, anything to do with consumers and that linkage causes a lot of good strength and kind of calming within the market. And there's two big indicators: non-farm payroll and non-farm employment change. So you can see on Thursday, June 2nd, there's the ADP non-farm employment change. 247,000 was the previous, 280 is the forecast. And it does look like it is on Friday, June the 3rd. This is where it is non-farm payrolls. 320 is the forecast. 428 was the previous. So it comes down to consumers. How much are they making? And again, when it comes down to their employment, what is happening with their employment? Are they gaining more and more jobs? Things like that. Again, this is a big driver for the overall economy, and this should hopefully, assuming it all goes to plan and the forecast, will give a lot of good growth stocks such as SoFi the amount of push and momentum it needs to get to the next level. Because more so on the technicals, things are starting to look very promising. Because right now we are exactly at that 50-day moving average. Again, typically that is a little bit more heavy for the resistance, but if we can get over that, then we are in for a massive rally. So this is my own 2 cents. I'm not a financial advisor, so do your own due diligence. I'm going to do a little bit more technical analysis at the end, but overall, this is one very strong positive. And even necessarily looking at short interest as far as a benchmark, there's a lot of people looking at short interest as far as what potentially might come, because right now it did hit a high, I believe, around 23% for short interest. It is currently 18.43. As far as right now, based on Friday, it did increase a little bit, nothing substantial, but cost to borrow is also starting to go up a little bit. So 5.45 is the cost to borrow average. And again, we are fairly used to around 1 or 2% for that. And as well, I have been noticing that the manipulation on SoFi has been going down, again giving us a little bit more momentum to continue up, because the cost to borrow minimum often was actually negative, insinuating that there's brokers out there paying people to short SoFi. But that hasn't been the case as of lately, and obviously we all know based on the price, it's shown a lot of good strength. The short score is at 73.51, and all this information also is on Ortex. Just want to give a shout out to them. And utilization is also at 100%, showing 100% of the available shares to short are currently out. So with that though, there's other things I do want to point out to you, and one of which is this. Again, it's kind of matching with and comparing the short interest to the closing price. So we are, and as you can see recently over the last 6 months, give or take, there's been that deviation. Normally the closing price has been well above the short percentage, but ever since Jim Cramer started to come out in February and January-ish saying that SoFi is definitely a sell and that people should avoid it and blah blah blah, and looking right here, it does appear that we did bottom. So we're starting to have a little bit more of a momentum on the actual stock price, but yet the short interest has stayed fairly much the same, give or take. You can see there has been a lot of fluctuations, a lot of good things, more specifically their recent earnings. But again, going back to this is where I'm getting at. Jim Cramer ultimately is what caused a lot of this, and not necessarily just that, but a lot of other big players did start to say that growth stocks such as SoFi is way overvalued, and that's basically what caused a lot of FUD and fear out in the market. But looking right here, we all know recently Jim Cramer did hypothetically say that SoFi is a good buying opportunity, and this was at $7.75. This was also done, as you can see, on the 19th. So he has changed his tone with SoFi. regardless of his opinion on that, he's even said in the past he cannot comment on why it's gone down as much as it is, as that he would have assumed it would have bounced back severely. So take that how you see that. There is a lot of people that do think of Jim Cramer as a little bit more of a curse per se, and whatever he does say typically does the opposite. So again, let me know your thoughts on that. But when it comes down to also the options activity, there's a lot of big money getting into the options. So this is all the recent orders, the big orders I should say, for SoFi, and there is some fairly big substantial money getting in here, and even more so from Friday, the intraday. There was a lot of big calls. You can see the calls based on the green. Red is the puts. And on a side note, if you guys don't know options, highly suggest in researching them. Very advantageous, especially in SoFi's case, if you have a long-term strike price, because SoFi is a very long-term investment. Amazing technology, amazing innovation that they are doing, and they are going to be a groundbreaking thing. But that does not come overnight. It's going to take a lot of dedication coming from investors and the management team as well. So this is why I feel long-term investments and options is the way to go. So keep that in mind. That is also can be seen based on, like I said, a lot of the big money is doing options, long-term options, 2024 strike prices and so forth. But with all that though, those are some things that is going to be affecting the market this week. But still, looking back on the actual technicals, we do have a lot of good bullish things that is coming out. But assuming the economic data that does come out this week is fairly good, it should aid in the momentum overall. And you can see based on the stochastic, there is still that deviation. So black line above the red starting to have a nice bullish start to this. Despite us going up, we just are having this formed right now. And momentum, you can see number of buyers is up substantially. Where my cursor is, that is exactly at 0. So when it is below 0, we're losing buyers. Anything above that, which is recently, we are getting a lot of new buyers getting in. So especially based on the volume, if you piece that all together, it goes to show that a lot of big money is getting in. So take that how you see that. I see that all of this is a lot of good bullish signals that is going to get us to that next leg up. And as well, I just want to pop over here and show you some as far as technicals, resistance, support levels, and so forth. So where we are right now, $7.55. There's a first resistance point at $7.76. On the contrary, the first support level is at $7.27. There is a little bit of a gap right here, but I feel that we won't necessarily come to that at all. If anything, this whole week is going to be fairly bullish. We're going to have a couple days of consolidation there. That happens all the time. It's healthy and very good for the stock at the end of the day, but I feel that given the circumstances, we can easily hit over $8 this week. Let me know in the comments below what you think about that, especially considering, actually, to be honest, I can feel that $8 is a fairly conservative price, because I can see us easily getting to this, because looking right here, that $8 is that second resistance point. $8.25 is the third resistance point. With, like I said, good momentum, we can do a lot of good things. And I just want to show you this as well, because I do feel that a lot of people aren't necessarily talking about this when they really should, especially based on their recent earnings. Look at this member growth. This is absolutely insane. You don't get this amount of good numbers from any of the big institutions. You get this from a huge innovative company that is groundbreaking. Like I've always said, it is going to be a long-term investment, bumpy ride, but it is going to be very beneficial to those that hold this dime in hand, because again, SoFi is going to do a lot of good things. Shout out to Riley for this post as well. He's doing a lot of good content on this on SoFi, and I highly suggest popping over to Twitter and giving him a follow. But with all that, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. Let me know your thoughts on SoFi and where you see SoFi by the end of the week. But with all that, I appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money on SoFi.